This is Michael Popok with some exclusive Legal AF channel exclusive content. The Green Party, headed by Jill Stein, is about to be used as a pawn by Maga and Donald Trump lawyers to try to get them back onto the ballot in a battleground state of Nevada in order to draw votes away from Kamala Harris. And it's all going to come down to the United States Supreme Court once again, who for years assiduously tried to stay away from election and politics and everything else since the 2000 election was given to George Bush in a 5-4 decision by the United States Supreme Court. Ever since, and in the last 2 years, John Roberts, as outlined in the New York Times recently and in one of my hot takes, he's actually pulled the court into the fray of politics and decided to rule and write the majority decision for 3 major cases over the summer, all that benefited particularly Donald Trump. The immunity decision, the decision about the obstruction of an official proceeding claims against him or crimes against him, and those involving the Colorado ballot and whether Donald Trump as an insurrectionist could be on it. And now we've got a new case that's being teed up by, talk about strange bedfellows, being teed up by a MAGA lawyer, a MAGA right-wing Trump law firm, if you will, representing the Green Party. Now, do we think, and this is probably the brightest, one of the brightest lawyers within the retinue of Donald Trump, Jay Sekulow. Jay Sekulow, who we saw a little bit in the Georgia case, works for an entity called the American Center for Law and Justice. Don't be surprised by these Orwellian terms. When you hear centers of law and justice or voter integrity bureaus or anything like that, that's just cover for voter suppression and MAGA law firm. Just read MAGA. When you hear it, it's like you're in a foreign language class. Just convert it into English. That's the English. So Jay Sekulow has filed a brief, an emergency application with the United States Supreme Court. Does anybody really believe that a Trumper MAGA lawyer like Jay Sekulow really believes in Jill Stein and the Green Party, the environmental party, the party of Ralph Nader? They're all excited. They got to make sure that party stays on the ballot. Or is it something else? Is it something more nefarious? Is it that the MAGA want to pull a 1 or 2 points away from the other Democratic, liberal, progressive party that's on the ballot called the Democrats? Jill Stein and the Green Party aren't going to pull from the Republicans that day. They're going to pull from the Democrats. And so they want to have, MAGA wants to use this as an excuse under the rubric of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they want to help Jill Stein and the Green Party get back on the ballot in Nevada so that votes can be drawn away from Kamala Harris in one of the major battleground states. That's it. That is what I'm here to call out. And that's why MAGA pulled the pin and pushed the button and got Jay Sekulow and the American Center for Law and Justice involved to go defend the rights of the Green Party, as if that was their ultimate goal, to defend the rights of the Green Party. Now, how do we get here? We got here because in Nevada, the Green Party, as all parties do, in order to get as a major party onto the ballot in the presidential election, had to go through a signature collection process. And in order to do that, they apparently contacted the clerk's office for the Nevada Secretary of State. And the person that answered the phone sent, I'll take this at face value, sent the Green Party the wrong signature collection form. I mean, it happens. They all sort of look alike. And so they sent the wrong form, and the Green Party attached that form to all their clipboards and went out in the streets and got their signatures and got on the ballot. And lo and behold, somebody looked at the form and said, whoa, this form is irregular. This form isn't right. It's too big. It's too small. The boilerplate on it isn't right. The language isn't right. It's got a typo in it, whatever it was. But the signatures were all there. And so they bounced the Green Party. And the Green Party, the party usually that was once the party of Ralph Nader, who the great spoiler of the Vice President Gore attempt to take down George Bush. This is one of the reasons we don't have a President Gore and his oil painting hanging at the White House is because of Ralph Nader and others. And so you've got the new spoiler, Jill Stein, coming from a long line of spoilers in the Green Party. But now you have the unholy alliance, the unholy marriage, the shotgun marriage of MAGA and Jay Sekulow, an appellate lawyer, along with Jill Stein of the Green Party, all to benefit whom? Donald Trump. Once again, the Green Party is like, well, I hate to be like, make them out to be snowflakes, and especially when they're called the Green Party. But they got to wind their way onto the ballot in order to take votes away from Kamala Harris and let Donald Trump win. I thought they were the Green Party. The Green Party thinks that Donald Trump, who publicly decided to auction our environmental policy over to big oil and big petroleum at a chopsteak dinner that he held at Mar-a-Lago, where he said to them several months ago, give me $1 billion to defeat the Democratic candidate, and I'll turn over basically lock, stock, and barrel my environmental policy to you. He did it before. He did it in 2016. The head of every major cabinet position and places like the Environmental Protection Agency, Donald Trump just tossed the keys over to the industry that it's supposed to be regulating and put those people, the wolves, in charge of the chicken coop. He's going to do it again. You don't have to believe me. Believe Donald Trump and his $1 billion auction price for his environmental policy. So the Green Party thinks that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who have been some of the greenest and effective presidents in our lifetime, they're better. And all that matters to you is that you get your 1% or your 2% in Nevada. Be a patriot. Suck it up. And don't go into an unholy alliance with the Maga party where it's probably paying the freight as well to try to defeat Kamala Harris in Nevada. Look, there's 7 battleground states. Everybody agrees to them. Michigan is important. Ohio is important. Nevada is important. Arizona is important. But you know what's really important? Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Kamala Harris has to win 2 out of those 3. She has to win 2 out of those 3, or she can't win the White House. Plain and simple. She's got to win Pennsylvania. There's no electoral map that we can think of that Kamala Harris gets to the White House without Pennsylvania. Very, very important. That's why she's spending so much time there and not taking it for granted, knowing what happened to Hillary Clinton. That's one. The other 2 states, North Carolina and Georgia, a Democrat won those states each one time in the last 100 years. North Carolina, Obama. Georgia, Biden. That's it. Isn't that a lot? I don't have to scroll all the names at the bottom of all the Democratic presidential candidates who won those 2 states. That was it. I just gave it to you. But Arizona is part of the electoral map, and so is Nevada, and very, very important. And so it just chaps my ass that the Green Party, once again, along with RFK Jr. and whatever the Know Nothing Party, whatever that party's name is that he used to represent, and now the Progressives, I don't know what they're, and then moved over, who's also an environmentalist, allegedly, has moved over and been co-opted and groomed by Donald Trump and Maga. And Jill Stein, you should know better. You know, I used to respect you. And ultimately, what your party's agenda is. Endorse Kamala Harris, come off the ballot, and stop this silly attempt by the Supreme Court to interfere. Now, what could happen at the United States Supreme Court with a 6-3 alt-right MAGA majority that's bent over backwards to put their big fat thumbs on the scale of justice in favor of Donald Trump at least 3 times over this summer? Anything's possible. We used to talk about on Legal AF a doctrine, a principle called the Purcell principle, which when the MAGA on the Supreme Court don't want to make a decision, and generally that means it's some sort of against voting rights, against minorities, against black and brown voters and in favor of disenfranchisement. They'll cite to the Purcell doctrine, which stands for the proposition is we're too close to the election. We'll just have to deal with this another time. Ballots are going out. We got early balloting going out. We have no time. This is a very interesting esoteric issue. But we're in the real world, we're too close to the election. Purcell doctrine, we're not going to make a ruling. But then when they want to make a ruling and they want to benefit Donald Trump and they this is my artist rendering, they rub their hands in evil glee. Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, Gorsuch. Here's our other opportunity we never thought we'd have with Jill Stein and the Green Party. They'll say, oh no, Purcell principle, we have plenty of time. This is such an important issue about whether a major party should be on a ballot or not. We can't let a little thing like our precedent, history, the Purcell doctrine that we always applied in other cases stand in our way. That's what's going through their mind right now. And we're going to have to see. And if John Roberts, who suddenly, based on some reporting in the New York Times, suddenly became the Kaiser Soze of the court, look it up. It's the Usual Suspects reference. I thought, and others around the court that I've interviewed, thought that John Roberts was a little bit of a pawn, a little bit of couldn't find his left and his right with both hands, didn't have the brass ones. It was being pulled hard to the right by Sam Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch. No, it was Kaiser Soze all along. It was Barzini all along. It was Roberts. There's a reason he wrote all 3 major opinions benefiting Donald Trump, because he wanted to. And here, he could do the same thing with the prerogative and the power that comes with being the Chief Justice to set the agenda. And if they take the case, it's easy to get rid of it. Deny it. Deny the emergency application under the Purcell Doctrine because ballots are going out in Nevada on the 21st of September. We're too close. But once again, whenever this makeup on the Supreme Court, this Supreme Court as constituted, led by John Roberts, who write it down, put this in a time capsule, and open it in 20 years, will go down in history as the worst Chief Justice in our history, circling the drain. And that'll be by constitutional scholars and people that know. With him there, they could pull this case right up and have their fourth case to benefit Donald Trump before the election. They have calculated, I believe, that Donald Trump being the president is better for them than not. And so they're gonna embroil themselves in another case, although they're given an exit ramp and an out with the Purcell Doctrine to dismiss the emergency application and send the Green Party packing. I'll keep a close eye on it. The rulings that are going to be made there by the full court. First Monday in October is when the United States Supreme Court is open for business. But on this emergency application, they could get together in advance and we could have a ruling in the next a few days as to whether this appeal is going to be advanced at all. Think about the alliance. MAGA lawyers, likely Trump paid for, with an institute, a law firm funded by MAGA, representing the Green Party to benefit Donald Trump in the election. Sounds sordid? It is. But I'll follow it right here. Thanks for finding me here. This is, in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, the Legal AF YouTube channel. On the Legal AF channel, which I'll be curating, I'm going to put together the best stories of the intersection of law and politics with commentary and analysis like no other you can find anywhere else. Find out what 40 million people a month already know. That Legal AF is the home of commentary and analysis at the crossroads of law and politics you can't find anywhere else on the YouTube dial. Lawyers talking about things that they actually know what they're talking about. How refreshing. I'm glad you're here. Free subscribe. The Midas Touch Network, our brother network, our parent network, they're going on 4 million free subscribers. You might be kicking yourself thinking, I wished I'd been in on the ground floor and been in the first 100,000 or 200,000 when they got off the ground. You can be right here on Legal AF, the Legal AF channel. We're going to be 30,000 before the weekend. We're going to be 100,000 if the gods shine on us. We're going to be 100,000 by Halloween with your help. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, until my next exclusive content for the Legal AF channel, this is Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.